you got to learn how to market and generate leads. And then you've got to learn how to convert leads to customers, right? So it's like the sales process. So I've had a lot of fun teaching them, first and foremost, the paradigm, shifting the paradigm, Dr. Pete, from outside in to inside out, and all of the language that comes with that. Knowing that they had a slant in that direction personally and the way they were living their lives, but I had to change their language so that they can convey that to humanity, right? To the outward, to the marketplace.
Hello and welcome to the Remarkable CEO Podcast, a show dedicated to chiropractors who want to transform their job into a business so that they can have a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life, not instead of one. With your hosts, Dr. Pete Camiolo and Dr. Stephen Franson.
At Genesis, we help successful chiropractors implement spinal decompression with a fully turnkey system that handles everything from marketing and new patient generation to systems, protocols, and ongoing support. The result? Massive value for your practice and life-changing outcomes for your patients, all without drugs or surgery. This is the next evolution in chiropractic care. Welcome to Genesis. Welcome to another episode of the Remarkable CEO Podcast, chiropractic's #1 business podcast. I'm Dr. Pete Camiolo.
And I'm Dr. Stephen Franson.
It's great to be with you, Dr. Stephen, with all of you here today. So I had an experience about 6 months ago in November, Dr. Stephen. I had the opportunity to come up to New Hampshire with some of our remarkable coaches. Amazing time we had to come together to train, to get equipped and develop each other, work together, and have some fun. And one of the things that you did and you set up for us was you scheduled some pampering for the remarkable coaches because, you know, we have to be functioning at our very best to do the great work that we do. So you took us to Bonfire Wellness, and I'll tell you, it was a remarkable experience for me to go to Bonfire Health. I don't remember the exact day that it was. I think it was a Friday afternoon though. And man, we went in there and they said, "What do you want?" You know, on the menu. And I'm like, "I'll take a little bit of that. I'll take that. It was like, yeah, pick it. And I did some red light. I did
recovery, vitality, and longevity. That's what I want.
Exactly. I did cold. I did red light. I did IV. I'm trying to remember. I might have done more than that, but I know for sure those are the things. I did those things, and it was just awesome. It was an awesome experience, and I loved it because it was your family. I was in there. Your sister was there. You were there. Your wife was there. I think somebody's kids were there. Your parents walked in and they were there. It was just awesome to experience your family in business and in this awesome business. So today I have the opportunity to interview you, and we're going to do a little check-in. How's it going? You know, this is a business that launched 6 months ago, and I'm sure you guys have had lots of wins and you've probably learned some lessons along the way. So Dr. Steve, I'm looking forward to digging in with you today.
Yeah, man, Dr. Pete, you brought me back to that day. That was so fun to bring everybody down there and just like love on you guys and share with you, what we had created. And I just appreciated everybody's feedback coming out of there. And it was great to just give my family a chance to showcase their passion for what we're doing there. So I think I'll back it up a little bit, and then I'm going to back it up a lot before we dive into the sort of Q&A interview around lessons learned, wins and learns so far 6 months into a de novo startup. I have my Bonfire shirt on for anybody who's watching on YouTube, which we love it when you guys watch on YouTube so we can show you things like that. And so if you're not, check us out on YouTube, guys. Follow us on YouTube. The Bonfire concept is actually this is like the resurgence of Bonfire, right? So this is something that came out of our practice, the original remarkable practice in Boston that Dr. Camille and I ran for 3 years out of Boston. We taught our patients the chiropractic wellness lifestyle, and we were big subscribers of it from day one, right? From the very beginning, we just knew that, You had to teach people about their diet style. You had to teach people about their movement patterns, had to teach people about their thought life and sleeping. And just, there's no way we were going to be able to reconcile such a subluxation driven lifestyle, the toxic deficient lifestyle that most modern humans live in, such a diverse ecosystem from how our genetic makeup, what it calls for. And, at the end of the day, you can't reconcile all of that 168 hours of toxic deficient living with a 2-minute adjustment visit once a week, right? So we're trying to teach them how to make sure that they live a life that worked with us, not against us outside of the practice, right? So, and then Dr. James Chestnut came out with the wellness lifestyle and the chiropractic wellness lifestyle certification. Went through all of that, and just a giant fan of him and his work. And he just codified all that messaging in that eat well, move well, think well construct. It was just brilliant work. So it was all in that same time period that inspired Bonfire, right? So we always taught people that your health was your bonfire. And that's where your heat and your light and your energy comes from. So everybody wants a bigger bonfire. And the way you choose to eat is your fuel. The way you choose to move is your air. The way you choose to think is your spark. So fuel, air, and spark, those three elements come together, and the natural consequence is fire. And if any of the three are missing, there's no fire. So it just spoke to the comprehensiveness of the lifestyle that we're teaching in the practice, so that people would live in a congruent way outside of the practice and work with us for the work that we were doing inside the practice, right? So long story short, after we sold the practice and obviously, developed the remarkable practice, we had put Bonfire on the back burner. As much as I loved it, I was called to develop the remarkable practice and focus on one thing, not try to develop 5 things, one thing, right? So my practice got my undivided attention for 23 years. We didn't have children for the first 12 years. We had one thing going on, and it took everything to create what we had created. And from that, we enjoyed the success that we enjoyed, and we built wealth. We exited that business because I was called to do the next thing. And that next one thing was develop the remarkable practice. So Bonfire had to get backburnered so I could focus on the one thing, because you can multitask, you can't multi-focus. And I had no interest in dividing my time, energy, my focus. So Dr. Pete, as you know, the story goes, we developed a very successful coaching business called the Remarkable Practice. And that's the one thing that takes up my energy now as far as running, leading, and operating that business. Now, I'm a big advocate of staying focused on one thing and developing wealth and investing in other things. Right? So some people get confused when they're like, oh, you have 6 businesses. Yup. But I don't operate 6 businesses. That's literally impossible, right? So I know everybody likes to point to Elon Musk, but Elon Musk has got great leadership and operators inside of those businesses, right? And I'm not comparing myself to Elon Musk, but I'm saying I only have the capacity to focus on one thing and invest in the other things, right? So some are totally passive, some are pretty close to passive. Others, I have an active role as like a consultant, right? So, and that's the extent of it. And Bonfire Wellness is one of those. So kind of a long-winded, sort of lead into this story, but I just wanted to take the opportunity to point that out every chance I get, because Dr. Pete, my experience is you see it in our space in chiropractic. There is this romantic notion that you're going to be able to buy and operate 4, 5, 6, 7 businesses while you're building one great empire. Build your wealth, and then use your wealth to invest in those other businesses.
So Dr. Stephen, I love the backstory, and I love that it's the genesis from all the way back in the beginning of your remarkable practice, and your recognition for us to truly help people get well, we have to address the causes of subluxation and really helping people develop that lifestyle. So I love that it birthed from that, and after all these years, it's come full circle for you. And for your family, and to do it with your family, which is a beautiful thing. So the way I want to ask the questions, Dr. Stephen, if it's cool, is I'd like to ask the questions of the wins and lessons learned through the lens of the 5 domains, if possible. I'd love to talk a little bit about like what has gone well. What have you learned in terms of marketing, building this business? Because marketing is messaging, and you're the messenger. You got to get your message into the marketplace for the marketplace to come. So I would love for us to maybe anchor to the, process of, what does it look like to take someone who's a seeker who comes into your Bonfire clinic and to become, a believer, to say yes, to get some level of care. Then what does retention look like in this organization? And is that part of it? And how does that go? And And then the team, you guys have had to build a team. You've built a team, and what have been the wins and lessons learned there? And then the business office, right? All the things in terms of, back of the house, everything that makes the business run.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to just maybe ask you to, and I know you know this framework, so
Yeah.
you just run with it. Like, if that's cool with you, I'd love for you to just maybe break it down, like wins and lessons learned, maybe through the lens of the 5 domains this way, I think, because that's how we all think.
Yeah, I think that's great. And if you could nudge me along here, that would be great. So that's the backstory on Bonfire. Let me just give you just a little bit of context on the actual Bonfire Wellness Clinic, right? So the Wellness Center. So my brother, Jeffrey, who's a brilliant business guy, he's built a empire of 3 different businesses, window businesses that I had a role in just starting the primary business back in Atlanta back in the day, but he's taken it and just done extraordinary things with it. It's now an ultra successful business guy. He actually just got recognized this week as being in one of Atlanta's top 10 fastest growing businesses. And fastest growing is kind of I smile when I hear that, because I think the business is 25 years old, but they're crushing it. And he's got a new arm of that business that's growing like crazy. So congratulations, Jeff, if you're listening to this. I'm so proud of you, bro. So it's real awesome what he's done. So he's the CEO of Bonfire Wellness. And my sister, Kim, who is a phenomenal nurse who basically runs the PICU, the Pediatric Intensive Care Unit at Mass General, has for 30 years, and she's just a warrior. So you can imagine somebody who has, what do you do for a living? I work with dying babies for a living. I mean, that's a badass human being. And if anything was going on if the shit was hitting the veritable fan with your child, you want my sister Kim in the room, right? So she's that person who leads a countless team of nurses, RNs, nurse practitioners, and working very closely with all the medical specialists there at Mass General, the number one hospital in the country, therefore probably in the world. So she's just a warrior. Well, during COVID, the PICU, the NICU and the PICU essentially got hijacked by the worst COVID cases. They moved all the kids out, all the babies out, and they moved all the worst COVID cases in. So needless to say, it was a terrible 2 or 3 year period for her that really broke the backs of most of the people who had been long-term, loved being PICU and NICU nurses, but really didn't have, their calling was not to take care of COVID cases, as you can imagine. So during that period of time, my brother and my sister came to me and said, hey, you know what? Let's get Kim out of this environment. Let's set her up into something that's, more along the lines of her philosophy, her health, and let's put her on a healthier lifestyle, healthier path. Let's get her out of that environment and give her an opportunity for business ownership. And then the last sort of asterisk on this is my cousin, John Franson, is got a finance background and works the books. He's the numbers guy. He's the money guy. So between the 4 of us, it's actually, my brother and his wife, John and his wife, Camilla and I, and then my sister, Kim, all of us came together and were the 4 partners in the launching of this business. And of course, you're not going to do anything in my family without the whole family coming along. So my mom and dad are involved as well. My mom works in reception, as she has for 50 years, in a dentist. She retired from them and came to join us, which is a riot, as a wellness tech. And my dad, he's the superintendent. Anything you need done, my dad's there. Whether you need to be picked up at the airport or a light bulb changed, my dad is the first one to jump up and say, I'll do it. So love my family, love that this is something that we're doing together. So I think that'll give you some color commentary to the background to some of the comments I'll say as we march our way through this 5 domains of the business, wins and learns.
Yeah. Again, backstory is so important. We talk about MVP3, mission, vision, premise, purpose, and product. And, that's the framework which we operate. So I love the vision. I love you sharing that, the vision, and even just the leadership. Everyone who's on the owner/leadership team are absolutely committed to this business, to the mission that we are serving. And so I love that, just thinking through the lens of the MVP3. So Dr. Stephen, let's start with marketing. So when you guys started the business, wins and learns, right? We're doing wins and learns. So
yeah,
however you want to approach this, but I always think, you guys had to build out the clinic, you had to do all these things. So what lessons did you learn just in the building out, like from the hiring of builders for a chiropractic office, you and I, we started chiropractic offices with I don't need much. I just need a couple chairs, a couple tables, and a phone that
Yeah.
rings and works. A computer.
That was not the case with Bonfire
So talk about that.
Wellness.
What you guys do? How do you make some
All right,
decisions there?
I'm
Any
going to
wins,
wrap
lessons
up.
learned?
I'm going to just be efficient and say things very directly. So, wins. The win was just the family coming together and manifesting a vision. Huge win. The wins were the actual finished product. The wellness center is spectacular. It's gorgeous. I mean, when you walk in, it's beautiful. It's a restored old barn that was like all exposed woods and beams. We restored it in such a way where we preserved some of that look and feel, but it just it was a great vision that manifested beautifully. It's a beautiful space, right? So, and I do believe that environment trumps willpower, as Rick Sapio, the late great Rick Sapio, always reminded us. So, we just creates this amazing environment it's not medical, it's not a spa, it's a wellness center, right? So, and it's something different when you walk in there, and it just sets the tone and energy. And I think it just really represents us very well. Beautiful branding, beautiful lighting. So, a spectacular place. And people know when you walk in there, it's a professional environment that's just full of love and light and energy. And I think really the healing begins at the front door. So just a really amazing job there. And as far as, the layout, there's some cumbersomeness to stairwells and poles in the way and, limited square footage. It's still, I think, 3,500 square feet. But there, because of the way the modalities are sort of spread out around, there are some limitations as far as flow, and there's some limitations with scheduling as far as like having enough footprint to have redundancies in some of the modalities. And that was a lesson learned, is just to be able to think about how to optimize every minute, every hour, especially when you start talking about the cost of having RNs and NPs in there. And then the biggest lesson learned was always review your contracts. And there was some sloppy languaging in the contract, and that just wasn't scrutinized to the degree that I should have, and others on the team should have. Leveraging third parties, really scrutinizing that, and it was literally a misstep that ended up costing us $350,000, which pretty much doubled the cost of the build out. So that put a bit of a drain on the OpEx, on the operating cash that we had budgeted for the project. So immediately, the build out went to $1 million, which was, that's every 350,000 helps Dr. Pete. So that was cash that we were going to rely on for that first 6 months of, having a full crew, full staff and plenty of overhead. So lesson learned on that is always make sure that you are fully scrutinizing, the fine print, the legalese, because when there's something that is unclear, you end up splitting the difference, and that split was super expensive.
Yeah, it's a big lesson learned. But what I found, Dr. Stephen, I know you've seen this as well in your own story. While, we learned a lesson, I believe that these things happen for us, not just to us. And I believe that there's going to be so much good that's going to come out of that. Even though that was a painful experience, and like you said, you learned your lesson, I believe that good is going to come out of that for you guys. I think that
Yes.
for Kim as a business owner, and for just you guys as a family, good is, and maybe some good has come out of that, misstep, and it was an expensive one. But I truly believe, and this has been my experience with all challenges that we face in business, whether it was a build out, because I had a build out situation. I built my first office, and I got this guy stole money from us. It wasn't 350,000, but it was 35,000 at the time. And I was trying to open my first office, and every dollar counted, like you said. So it was, but I used it. It actually became a catalyst for me to grow the business, and we had tremendous growth. And then, the other challenge,
It's tuition.
Tuition. The challenges you face are just, man, they just, that's how you learn, right? You learn. So, I'm sorry that happened, but at the same time, I know good's going to come out of it. Probably already has, and it will continue to.
Yeah, I think we all sat up and paid attention. We were probably just, it got our attention. Like, oh, okay. And another misstep. And here's why I'm sharing these lessons learned. I think it's very important for you guys to hear Dr. Pete and I talk about this. Is like, if you get down on yourself because, shit happens in your business, you make a mistake, or like there's an oversight or whatever, it's like, don't think you're alone on this. This stuff is hard, right? So There was a decision made to put some very expensive equipment on a credit card. instead of just doing an SBA loan, right? Which is, they're very happy to finance equipment, for a de novo startup, right? So, it was another example of like, man, now we have this on a credit card that's got a higher rate that we have to pay it down. And again, that strapped some of the cash that we had reserved. So guys, these are tactical errors, right? That I'm embarrassed to admit to, but I'm also, I'll raise my hand and say, I should have caught that in my own scrutiny, not micromanaging, but, just always pay closer attention, because a fool and their money are soon parted, right? So I looked at that and said, now I'm paying taxes on that. That was just a dumb move.
Yeah. So, let's talk about, some of the other wins, man. Like, I know that you guys are changing and saving lives in there. You're seeing just amazing things. Do you have any stories, any kind of clinical related outcomes? Cause I know that, Kim is a clinician. I mean, she's in, like you said, she's been in at the darkest times with people, with their babies, and she's seen it all. But now you guys you're doing this work. I don't know. Is there any?
Yeah, I think every interaction is, honestly, it's new territory. I should be clear that this wellness center, yes, we offer IV nutraceuticals and supplements. We have lymphatic compression. We have red light therapy, cryo, like we have like everything, but we don't adjust, right? So I just wanted to make sure people here is like, there's no chiropractic there. It abuts a chiropractic office, a great chiropractor. We send everybody over there to get their spine and nervous system checked. And for me, it was like, their chiropractic is a backflip. There's no half backflips. There's no way I was going to have a chiropractic office in there that wasn't a remarkable practice, which is in itself its own business, right? So it would have required enormous focus, and I couldn't half do that, right? So it was, let's set up right next door to a great chiropractor and send them over there, right? So I just want to be clear there. So the clinical side of it is, we take our staff are all professionals. These RNs and NPs are coming from the medical world. They all followed Kim over like the Pied Piper, because everybody loves to work with Kim. So having their clinical experience be as allopathic as it gets, and then making that paradigm shift for them from outside in to inside out, where Kim knew where we were going with this, understanding that our market promise was recovery and vitality and longevity. This is a different market promise than the PICU and NICU at Mass General, right? So it's like, we had to teach them, these guys were experts in delivery, right? So experts can find greater experts in people that follow SOP, follow a process, and deliver, right? So, and do it all with love, intention, compassion, and a smile, right? So incredible level of professionalism. But what they weren't used to was marketing and sales. What they weren't used to was having to generate business. Guess what? There ain't no shortage of sick and suffering, dying babies trying to get into the best pediatric NICU and PICU in the world, right? So it's like, there was no shortage of business, if you will, in the hospital, right? So you got to learn how to market and generate leads. And then you've got to learn how to convert leads to customers, right? So it's like the sales process. So I've had a lot of fun teaching them, first and foremost, the paradigm, shifting the paradigm, Dr. Pete, from outside in to inside out, and all of the language that comes with that. Knowing that they had a slant in that direction personally and the way they were living their lives, but I had to change their language so that they can convey that to humanity, right? To the outward, to the marketplace. So when you ask about, clinical, yeah, every single interaction is going upstream and teaching people about above, down, inside out versus outside in. So there's wins everywhere. They are definitely shifting everybody's paradigm and the resultant clinical changes that come from that. From the marketing side of it, if we're staying with that construct, internal, external, and digital marketing, it's about getting the narrative right, making sure that they're clear on our ICP, and just recognizing that this business is going to start with a strong referral base, right? So it's like, we've got a community that we're part of, and that we're getting so much support from friends and family members. It's been extraordinary, right? So I grew the business immediately right out of the gates, because we've been such strong, participants and members of this community. It was leveraging all those relationships and being able to over deliver value, which was just awesome. I got a text during this recording. My pastor is there right now with his wife, which is just awesome to see that text come across and be able to say, oh yeah, that's just so awesome. So just taking care of the people in the community, that's internal. External, I'm sure we'll go down and do something at the church, right? So it'll be external. We'll get out there. My sister is magic with people. She'll be one of the most popular people you'll ever meet in your life, which is, one of the reasons I love her. One of the many reasons I love her. Everybody likes my sister and everybody loves my sister, right? So it's the same thing with my brother. Everybody loves my brother. Everybody likes my brother, right? So that getting them out into the community, they're natural salespeople. We're all my father's children, right? My dad's an unbelievable salesperson, right? So if we're breathing, we're promoting. So they're just put them in the mix. Get my sister out there, and she's going to turn that energy into potential new clients and customers, right? And then digital. My brother runs the digital. He's got a great team with his multiple businesses. So of course, it's internal, external, and digital marketing. And digital marketing in this space, man, it's SEO is critical, and Google Ads, Google AdWords. It's incredible that you have to become a master at ads in such a specific marketplace.
Well, I loved hearing you say all that. And I love that you're able to be an influencer with education. We know how important education is. We like to say, people, we charge a tuition, the adjustments are priceless. So you're paying for your education. And, you're doing that by educating the staff, the nurses, the nurse practitioners, the team, so that then they can go ahead and educate the public, the people that are coming in to Bonfire. And you're taking people that have spent decades in the allopathic model, like you said, and bringing them into a vitalistic model, what an amazing transformation. I love that you are influencing that and them in the ways that you are. And that I couldn't think of a better role and a place for you to be in terms of helping this influence this business in the right direction. So a last question I have for you, Doc, is, obviously looking back is one thing, but looking ahead, what do you guys what's on the horizon? What are we aiming towards? What are our priorities, in these next 6 months, this next year, thinking in terms of now, next, and ultimately, what would you say are, what are we trying to accomplish?
Yeah, I love that question. So, two things: offering and people, right? So the offering is, we knew we wanted to go into the marketplace with 2 levels. We wanted to have a membership level where people could come in off the street, off the shelf wellness, and have services provided that we know everyone needs every day, so to speak, right? And then there would be more of a prescriptive recovery oriented, where we'll do, testing. So it would be more diagnostic oriented with prescriptive direction as to, what they should be doing. So that's the next iteration for the business. We're going to roll that out now that we've worked out the bugs of our process, procedure, scripting, staffing, etc. The second step, what's for the future, is now fleshing out the professionalism of our business team. We need a business office manager to free up my sister so that she can do more marketing, which is, she should be on the floor or on the street. She's just magic with people, right? So that's where we need her. So we need to support her with get her out of the back office, get her off of the computer screen, right? So we need to have that business office manager. Sound familiar, right? So the most important role that you can bring into the business. I think that's really a big part of what we're doing. And then, of course, bringing a fractional CFO in so that we have all the financial reporting systems that we need, so that, my cousin John's great with numbers and he can be the point of contact for that person and report to our team. But having that reporting system done in such a way that we can be really informed, we have all the visibility and resulting accountability to optimize the business, right? So like we teach in the Remarkable Practice, it's all about operationalizing, professionalizing, optimizing the business. Business is business, people are people. So I'm useful in this place because I can bring everything that I do in the Remarkable Practice from, let's call it a consulting posture, and teach them, how to optimize the business, right? So first, operationalize it. Make sure you have systems in place for everything: attraction, conversion, retention, team building, and collections. And then professionalizing it, making sure that you surround yourself with A players who are as good, if not better than you in that role. And then we can spend all of our time as owners optimizing the business and making sure that we drive not only more productivity, but more profitability out of that business.
Well, Dr. Stephen, thanks for just taking this interview with me today and sharing some lessons learned from a new business you launched here in the last 6 months, lessons learned. And it looks like, great things are ahead for you guys as well. So I'm excited to make a trip back up to Boston and to get back to Bonfire. I still get text messages from them. So their marketing is working. It's their sched or whatever they're using for their messages. It's coming in, and I'm reminded of the specials they're running. So, and they're doing a great job with that. So I look forward to coming back again.
I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize just our team. My brother, my sister, my cousin John, everybody doing an excellent job as a leadership team. The team members that we have, the nurse practitioners, the RNs, magic, the people that are all the supportive, our wellness techs, my mom and dad, right? And all of our, just our supportive friends and family all around in our community. It's been incredible. It's led to the growth of the business, the success of the business. I know it's already successful. I know it's going to be wildly successful. Maybe we'll have it'll be a multi-site that we've built to one day either have all of our family members, everybody can run a bonfire outlet, and maybe one day build it to sell it. So it's been exciting, and I'll be back and I'll give us an update and let you guys know how things are going at Bonfire Wellness.
So in terms of how we teach here, guys, it's launch, build, scale, exit. We just did an interview with Dr. Steven, who has just went through launch, and they're transitioning into the build stage. Look forward to revisiting this as you guys go from build and then build into scale. It's just awesome. And thanks for the time today. And for all of you who are regular listeners to our program, whether you're in the season of launch or build, scale or exit, we're here for you. We're here to serve you. And you can see we're not just talking about it. We're experiencing, we're doing this day in and day out. And Dr. Steven, you showed just even today, like, this is how close to home it hits. We're in it with you guys. And it's an honor for us to be with you on this podcast every week. So thanks for tuning in, and look forward to being together next week. Until then, God bless everybody.
Thanks, Dr. Pete.
Please stick around for more business insights from this week's bonus interview with our remarkable success partner, dedicated to helping you more successfully help more people. Enjoy.
Welcome to this portion of the podcast. I'm excited, as always, to have Jeff Langmaid with us. Jeff Langmaid is the smart chiropractor behind the products of Spark and Patient Pilot. And I want to start with a story from my own clinical perspective, because I'm one that's very, very particular about how things get said to my clients, about what my practice puts out into the world for clients. And so anytime I get, we get a lot of different things coming in from marketers. Hey, I can do this for you. I can do that for you. Whatever. We can bring patients in. We can bring patients in. And I'm always very leery of that, because I'm like, no, I want it to sound like me. I want it to, come from my voice. If I've put enough stuff out over the last 18 years that if people have something that's not sitting right, they're going to be like, what's this? It's just not going to be congruent with our message previously. And then I found Patient Pilot and Dr. Jeff here, and I was the same way. It's like, is this going to sound right? I like the concept, which we'll talk about in a second, but I liked the concept. I liked the technology behind it, but is it going to sound like me? And then I read some of the emails, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I could have written these. Like, these are exactly how I would write it. Awesome, let's go. This is such a good product. So I really appreciate you for being the voice of those of us who are wellness chiropractor, family-based chiropractors, people who do things that aren't just reactive care, but also appreciate the fact that people have stuff going on from time to time. So thanks very much for that. And I wanted to ask you the question. Clearly, that's how the product, the Patient Pilot product, has been designed. I'll let you talk about the fact that it's a unique attraction tool in that it's not specifically for new patients who've never seen you, but for people who probably have seen you and are your ideal client because they've already been to you. So will you talk to the product of Patient Pilot a bit and what it specifically does for a clinic?
Yeah, Dr. Chris, thank you for having me on, and thank you for paying the ultimate compliment to kick it off. One of the things I personally take pride in is writing great copy, right? And writing stories, writing messaging that inspire people to take action, that engage with them, and that meet them where they're at. And that's a difficult tightrope walk, because we have, us as the chiropractors and the patients, and there's a massive gully and gap of knowledge between the two of us. So I really deeply appreciate what you said, and love working with you, because
Very
that's
welcome.
really what we're striving for. And as you
Yes.
alluded to, our goal is to help doctors move their net momentum more in the positive direction. Everybody thinks about new patient acquisition, but they forget about reactivations being just as important. New patients plus reactivations minus your inactives give you your net momentum in a nutshell. So reactivations is an area where we have focused, because exactly what you said, many docs out there have been, head down, bum up over a table for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years plus, taken care of and impacted hundreds, if not thousands of people in their community, yet they're constantly still feeling the stress of needing more new patients. Now, I'm not saying reactivation, new patients are a part of being a chiropractor from the day you start for most of us until the day you end. But man, lighten the load a little bit, right? When you do a little bit of work with those hundreds, if not thousands of people by consistently communicating with them, many will raise their hand. If you look at yourself honestly in the mirror and say, as you have and have seen the benefit, I'm a good doc doing great work, and a majority of these people like me. Not all will say yes and come back tomorrow, but as I continue to connect with them and message them, and as we say, guide them on their journey to better health, some will raise their hand weekly, daily, monthly, and come back in. We think that's part of being a great chiropractor, just to start as a foundational principle, but it also is a really good business decision.
Yes. Absolutely. And I love that you went through Netmo so concisely there, because that's exactly what Netmo is. And if you're listening to this, you're like, whoa, what was that equation? I got to rewind there and listen to Dr. Jeff say that again. Your net momentum is, to me, the most important wellness metric for your practice. It tells you whether you're growing, whether you're flat, or whether you're shrinking. And you hit it exactly. It's new patient acquisition, which, new start acquisition, I will say, which is new patients plus reactivations minus how many people are dropping out, which you have to be honest about that in your clinic, and you have to have a system around it, equals your net momentum. So, and very few people have excellent reactivation processes around. Uh, I'm going to throw in one more thing about your copy, because you walk that entire tightrope and you do it in an email that can be read in literally 30 seconds. They are so concise and tight. They're so, so good. So that's another factor that I've found really improves open rate. If people have opened one and it's short, they're going to open the next. And so let's talk a little bit about the behind the scenes, what the practitioner or their team will be able to see, because honestly, we run our reactivation campaign through Patient Pilot in my office, because I want to reach out to the people who are already engaging in our content, and through your platform, we know who that is. Tell the listeners a little bit more about that.
Yeah, we kind of jokingly on the inside in the company refer to a kind of X-ray vision for your patients, clients, practice members, and what we mean by that is sort of what you described, which is we're actually able to track not only clicks, right? Who's clicking to either come back in, ask a question, refer a friend, learn more about a body signal or a symptom that they're experiencing. Every time somebody clicks on one of those buttons in the emails, the provider receive a text and an email notification. That in itself is a big leap from just sending stuff out and hoping for the best. So there's a real-time feedback loop that allows the practice to be more proactive based upon the engagement of that patient. But we take it one more level, and where the X-ray component really comes in is we also track those that we call highly engaged. Who's consistently opening those emails and those messages? So, and we build what we call a smart patient recall list off of that, so that you and your team have the opportunity to call down a patient recall list, not just based upon the fact that they haven't been seen in X amount of time. They might be totally disengaged, but actually based upon engagement. Now, why does that matter? That just basically helps the team be more efficient and more effective with their time. If you're making an outbound call to somebody that's been engaging with your content, that's a higher likelihood of conversion, of connection on that call than somebody you're just calling blindly based upon a date in the past. So the specificity around that and really helping a team be more efficient and effective is what we're about. Now, many patients will take care of the process for themselves. If they're clicking and you have online scheduling, we'll link right to that online scheduler. If you don't, we build a dynamic landing page. So we'll take care of docs one way or the other. And many patients take care of the process themselves without any intervention from the practice. But for those practices that really focus on having great systems and great processes, I'll pat ourselves on the back and say I think we have really the best system for patient reactivation specifically, that empowers the practice to not only be proactive, but to be super consistent and to be efficient and effective with their time.
That's exactly it. I think the practices can utilize very easily the information that you give to create their own reactivation campaign beyond just the messages that are going out. And I appreciate you for that. That's how we, as the Remarkable Practice, help more people, is by having our content and our coaching and connecting with success partners just like you guys that help further that mission for us. So here we are, we're recording this in June of 2025, smack in the middle of people just got through May, in the early part of June, which sometimes gets wonky with attraction in general. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but that school thing can really throw family practices for a loop for sure. Talk to people about A, how do they get in touch with you, and B, why would it be a good idea to do this sooner than later?
Yeah, you can always connect with us at thesmartchiropractor.com. Again, that is thesmartchiropractor.com. That's the easiest place to connect, and we're very available across all social media channels, but thesmartchiropractor.com is the easiest place to learn more and to get started. And whether you're listening to this and it's still Q3, maybe we're rolling into Q4, I just would encourage everybody listening, make it a rock for you, the business owner, the practice owner. Make reactivations a rock for you this quarter, regardless of whether it's Q3 or Q4. Whether you use our system or whether you want to implement your own, we're going to help you do it faster, easier, and better because we're experts in it. It's what we do all day, and we have a team that works only on this. But one way or the other, I'm going to encourage everybody listening, make it a rock this quarter for you, the business owner, to implement a patient reactivation system. One, your coaches will thank you because as you go through those KPI scorecards, you'll be able to report things more accurately, more clearly, and you're going to have growth. If you are somebody listening to this podcast, you're interested in business growth, maybe you're on the verge of coaching, maybe you're a future coaching client, maybe you've been actively involved for a decade plus. The bottom line is you're here because you want to impact the lives of more people. So do it. And don't forget about the hundreds, if not thousands of people that you've already taken care of. So my big encouragement to everybody listening is make it a rock for you to institute a patient reactivation system and program. If you want to build it yourself, you can certainly do it. But if you want to do it faster and easier, we're happy to be a success partner and help you do that. So you can visit us at thesmartchiropractor.com.
I love it. I'm going to leave it right there. That's exactly what people need to do. Thanks so much, Dr. Jeff, for being a success partner and having such a great product for people so we can help them go out and impact more folks. Thanks so much.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Remarkable CEO Podcast. Remember, what the world needs now is chiropractic, and what chiropractic needs now is more successful chiropractors. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, share with a friend, and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with us personally, direct message us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Now go and be remarkable.